Questions for Buck? We'll start with two on the right.
Did you say that you did get answers or did not get answers?
I asked questions,
Was
and they answered them.
Was it
Okay.
about sticky stuff?
Just a lot of things, stuff like that.
Yeah. Is there anything that you can share that seems relevant?
No, I don't think that's right, but I appreciate you asking. I know you have to. I'm not gonna sing like a canary, is that what they call it? But it's what it is, right? Not gonna keep me from asking.
John?
To ask more directly, do you expect?
Pardon?
Do you expect Drew to be suspended for tonight's game? Do you
I would
anticipate
expect if
the
they follow protocol, yes.
result? And do you expect him to appeal?
I hadn't gotten there yet, but one step at a time. I talked to Drew some today, so we'll see.
I know when the Scherzer situation, based on the way the schedule was, it was better for the team for him not to appeal. I mean, how do you guys view this situation?
We've talked about it. We kind of view it one step at a time, see what, we're operating that's gonna happen. Obviously, it's a 12-day, it's not 10, because you don't get credit for the off days, but actually, if you're gonna have it, you'd rather have the off days in there to withstand the taxation on the taxing part of it on your bullpen. And we had to do a couple things last night we normally wouldn't have had to do.
Addie and Ray?
That's why they penalize, to make it hurt.
Aside from the obvious with Drew being a reliever and Scherzer being a starter, just how does this differ from Max's situation earlier this season?
It has a lot of similarities still, whether it's starting or relieving, it puts, changes some things that you have to do out of the bullpen and puts some added, need for other people to pitch. Gonna continue, there's ways to maneuver around it, but it usually, you can only carry 12 pitchers. So there's no way around that, so, fortunately, our front office has put us in a position to have more optionable people. The tough thing is, Abby, is when you have to send down people that are performing well. That's tough. So, we're gonna take each day. We talked about it a lot last night, but with the off day tomorrow, we'll kind of see, it's gonna be a day-to-day thing. We're gonna see where we are, and I've learned through the years, you never assume anything that Max is gonna pitch 5 to 7 innings, or Justin is gonna, not get a ball hit off the knee or something. I mean, you have to always prepare for that. So we have prepared for tonight, and then we'll see after tonight's over with the off day tomorrow where we are on Friday, and then after that day's over, we'll look at Saturday. So kind of done that when we had 13, but it's gonna be even more important with 12.
Bruce?
Buck, what kind of appreciation do you have for the Verlander-Cole matchup tonight?
I think it's fun for the fans. I don't know how fun it'll be for the hitters, but sometimes, like, even last night, Severino's got a really good career, so to speak, and you don't see things happening. What's perceived as might happen on the field, all of a sudden, both guys are going the 4th inning, and you're pitching games out of the bullpen. That's tough against the Yankees. They have one of the best bullpens in baseball, if not the best. So, on paper, I got it because of the history. But, history is about the past. Tonight's about tonight. Two guys are capable of pitching real well over a long period of time in their career and tonight. So, sometimes things as they appear on paper do work out. I don't know. I know from our standpoint, it would really help us with the situation we're in now to get some length, but the other team doesn't always cooperate like last night.
Howie Malutz?
But one more thing about Drew, when he got back, or at least after the game last night, he said that when he returned to the dugout and came upon an MLB official, which is how he termed it, that official apparently said, looks okay to me. Do you know enough about the process as to whether or not that individual can be brought into the appeal if he decides to go that route?
No, because too much time elapsed. It wasn't sticky at that point. You know, I wasn't out there when they initially checked, so, you know, I'm like a lot, I tend to believe people. I tend to believe Drew, and I tend to believe Bill. You know, there's not, like, sometimes paranoia can set in, but I'm also try to be alert to things that just don't quite feel right, but most of the times, it's like ball strikes, you know, complain, and all of a sudden you actually look at it and you go, I'd like to have that pitch too. You know, I understand the buffer area and all that stuff, so tend to try to take the, you know, it's tough to take the emotion out of it and look at things logically and realistically, but a lot can happen from the time that you're initially looked at to the time you get in the dugout and get up the runway. You know, they're trying to be consistent. I think we all understand what they're trying to accomplish with all this. And, you know, people have all these, well, they checked this guy and they didn't check this guy and this and that. There's something to be said for randomness too. So, you know, some people will talk about this guy was asked to wash and this guy wasn't. Well, there's different circumstances for all of them, you know.
I also feel that because of the subjectivity that's involved in making the kind of decision that Miller did, that, yeah, you can appeal, but it's almost pointless at that point. I mean, do you see, you know, an end game to an appeal that could work in Drew's favor, or is it just a Hail Mary?
It's an uphill battle. It's a nice way to put it. I mean, it's like a manager gets suspended or something, you have no right of appeal, even though you're a part of the union. For some reason, they decided that the manager doesn't have any rights. So, like I said, it was always fair, but it's the rules that you know going into it. So it's a big hang with them. Hello.
Back.
Hi, Mike. Do you find it at all curious that there've been 3 of these things and 2 of them?
Say again, I'm sorry?
Do you find it at all curious that there've been 3 of these incidents now this year and 2 of them have been involved in the same team?
Well, like I said, I think 4 of the 5 in baseball have been Mets, 2 in AAA. So, yeah, you know, Miss Settles taught me algebra. I can do that math, do the percentages. So, yeah, one of the questions I asked, they tell me why I shouldn't feel that way. So, take each case, and you know, I don't think that somebody's in some room doctoring juice balls. I don't think, you know, it's just hard to imagine. First of all, nobody can keep a secret. Nobody can. Everybody's telling the whole world everything. They can't wait to tell somebody something that they think. You know, I know how you tell somebody something, they tell them not to say anything, and they tell somebody on the West Coast, and they write it, and then they give them. I understand how it all works. It's okay. So I don't try to get in those conspiracy theories, but I'm also alert to something that if you do the math, you go, you know, I look in the mirror and go, okay, are we doing something wrong that we need to fix? Okay, that's my first thing, is you gotta look in the mirror and say, you know, instead of it always being somebody else's fault and somebody's singling you out or picking you out, are you doing something wrong? That's where I start with it.
Can I ask something else?
Sure.
Given all that, I mean, do you ever at all think, I don't mean to make you sound paranoid, but do you ever think that what happened last October might have caused some kind of extra, you know, spotlight to put on?
I don't think so. My only regret, I said before, is I didn't do that earlier in the series. Pretty obvious what was going on.
Dave?
Mark Vogelbach talked a little bit about the break that he took and working on some things and getting in a better spot. When you went into that plan with him, did you guys have an idea how long it was gonna last, or how long you were gonna decide to make him available again?
I think the problem is with saying this exactly when it's gonna end. Well, what's making you do that? You know, are you seeing something that's getting back progressively to what he's capable of doing and has done in the past? So just to put a closed end on it and then not meet some criteria to get there, probably not very wise, but he's in the process of meeting that criteria and he's getting close.
And based on he mentioned the pressure, you know, that built up when he was going out there trying to perform. Was it important not to play him at home during the stretch because of that? If it's gonna be a mental break?
Yeah, if you know Daniel, his whole life has been people telling him, you know, that he's not gonna be able to do something and he may not fit the mold and this and that, whatever. He, you know, of course, a lot of people say that and they might feel differently down deep, but I don't see that with him. If you told him that, he would say, bring it on, are you kidding me? No, he understands the job description, not only playing the big leagues, but playing in different environments. Like I say all the time, you control it. You control it. You can make it all turn very positive very quickly. It's the David Cone theory is, you know, they're waiting to embrace me. I gotta give them something to embrace me about. So you control that and start thinking that, you know, I don't think Daniel thinks that way, that someone's picking on him. He's frustrated that he hasn't given him something to embrace him more for. He's done some good things here, just not obviously as much as you'd like and has done in the past. He's not the only one, that's for sure.
Just to follow up on that, have you sort of considered him off limits late in games the past few games, and is that still the case?
Well, you know, I've asked that question too, but I'm certainly not gonna broadcast that to the other team and have them maneuver accordingly. So, there are some situations that, you know, I wouldn't say I would not use him in tonight.
Hat in the back.
Buck, you said that given the disproportionate focus on Mets pitchers who have been suspended for this, that you had to sort of look in the mirror. What does that look like? Have you had some sort of pitcher?
I don't
meeting
necessarily
to-
think it's disproportionate if you do the math. I don't think I said that, but I do think if you look at that, it would make you start thinking about that, and you wanna make sure that you're not, doing something more than is allowed, and I don't see that. It's just some isolated cases, and, you know, I've got some very personal feelings about it, but I think where we are, it doesn't do anybody any good to air those. But, you know, that's because everything I look at is through what's best for the New York Mets, and having Max or Smitty not with us is not good for us. But, you know, there's things you have to wear.
And also just factually, you said there were 2 minor league Mets pitchers also this year?
I'm sure y'all knew that, right? Assume you knew it. Yeah, everybody. Huh?
Just checking.
Yeah, it was, Horsey and, who's the other?
Bundy.
Bundy.
Tim?
With Vogelbach for this mental break, did you guys,
It's physical too, but go ahead.
did you guys consider putting him on the injured list?
He's not injured. That would not be legal. Why would we put somebody on the list that's not hurt?
Well, you said last month you could find a reason for anybody to go on the injured
Pardon?
list. You said last month you could find a reason for anybody to go on the injured list.
Oh, they're all hurt. There's something wrong with everybody.
Like that's hence my question.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong enough with him.
Gotcha.
I mean, if you went down everybody in there, you could find something physically challenging. Good try though.
Well, then you wouldn't have to play short, I guess.
Huh?
Then you wouldn't have to play short. I guess is the inspiration for the question. If he was on the injured list and then you replaced him with somebody, you wouldn't be down at the end.
Yeah. Maybe we're not playing short starting tonight. I don't know. I mean, I do know, but I'm not gonna broadcast that to the Yankees.
All right.
You know, Daniel, you had a good session today. He had a question that he's been very patient about.
Thank you, Buck. Obviously, Buck, there's no good way to lose a game, but just wondering, in the past week, team has lost a few games where they had multi-run leads, where you might have expected to hold on, with Scherzer pitching a couple of times. What toll or what impact do you see on the team, if any, over losing that kind of game?
No, I understand that. That's a good question because I think about it, but I try to think of half full without being blind to something that might be obvious, but you know, our guys have responded very well to those things. I mean, Atlanta, even some in Pittsburgh, and last night, you know, there's just a phase of the game that we can't quite finish off, and it's very frustrating for them, and I'm in the rooms with them in the advanced meetings, on the field, in the locker room, I know, if they stay true to it, there's some good things around the corner for them, but right now, you know, you'd like to see them get a return for how much they care and they're putting into it, but, you know, the game doesn't always cooperate with you. There's good people on the other side, and you're playing the best players in the world, and everybody's trying to accomplish the same thing. That's why it's so gratifying if you can do it, because you're getting everybody's best shot every night, the best of the best. So, I don't want to say checkpoints, but things you see the next day makes you feel like, you know, that they're not getting bogged down that woe is me and what's gonna, you know, if you're looking for negative, you can always find it. And, you know, people aren't staying up at night trying to make your path harder. You gotta continue to look at things that are self-inflicted.
Okay, thank you very much, Bob.
Okay. Hey,